Blog Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Sunny D. Welcome to tonight's show. It is April 18th, 2019. This month is going by fast, so getting crazy. I don't know. It's not moving fast enough for me, but it is going by very, very fast. We're already in the middle of the month. It's crazy. But if you're listening right now, you're on blogtalkradio.com/GFT radio show. Want to cop some merchandise, go to teespring.com/stores/GFT radio. Catch us some merchandise. We got a bunch of shirts there, hoodies for the winter. I don't know if we got tank tops. We got cups, we got T-shirts, so go there. Long sleeve as well for you fellas that like to wear the long sleeve. Go catch some merchandise. If you guys want to join in the topic tonight, our phone number is 657-383-1155. I'm trying to wait for the fellas to actually get on the line. I don't know where they are, but they're coming. Just got text messages, so I know that they're going to be on shortly. What I was going to say to you guys. Oh, yeah, if you follow us on Instagram and Twitter, it's at GFT_radio. Like our Facebook page, go look for us on, if you don't catch it here on the live on Blog Talk, catch it on the playback on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, we at Google Play Music. I think where else we at? We had a lot of places. Just Google GFT Radio Show, and you'll see our logo, and just go like, comment, share, follow on everything. Willie?
What up, though? It's your boy, Willie Styles. I'm in the building.
Yeah. So I'm just getting over a cold. I've been battling it all week.
Hey, you still got that cold?
Huh? Well, no, it left, and then it came back, and I was all, like, stuffy and congested. I've been taking medicine. Yesterday we had an office party. Everybody got a little too toasty. So I woke up today feeling a little better, and now I'm feeling like I'm getting stuffy again. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But I got
maybe it's a combination of a cold and the allergies.
Yeah, I think it is because I've been all, I've been congested. I kind of broke the cold, and I feel like it's not. Now it's like, I'm coming back. I don't know. This weather needs to decide what it's going to do because I don't got time for this. I've been getting, this is like the worst allergy, cold, sick season for me. Like, I swear, in the last couple of months, I've been sick more than I've ever been in my entire life. I think because I'm stressed out, everything that's going on, so I'm stressing myself to sickness. I don't know. But guys, we got a great topic for y'all lined up. We apologize for last week. We had a personal issue that we needed to push the show back to this week, but I think it's even better that we push it back because we got more time to kind of look into the topic and kind of get an understanding of what's going on. The title of the show is your 9-year-old ready to learn about LGBT Q now, history. So I think Clint brought it up, but I don't know. I've been looking at it, and actually I had before we get into the topic, I want to talk California passed, and just recently New Jersey, our new governor just signed the bill to allow LGBTQ history into our schools, public schools. It's going to be a part of curriculum. They want the gist of it is they want to include them in there. I know a lot of the responses I was getting once we posted it was why they got to know about the sexual orientation of these people, why is that important, and things like that. And it's funny because I read one of the articles, and I brought it up before even reading this article. The first name that stuck out to me as far as LGBTQ history and people that either made history, people that help shape history for certain different groups and stuff like that. They want to basically highlight them. Like the first astronaut, like that's how they say the first black person to do blah blah blah, but they actually also gay or a lesbian or transgender or whatever, or bisexual, whatever they did. They want to be able to say this person, this was the first gay person that did blah blah blah. So when I immediately thought of this, me and somebody, one of my friends had a whole Twitter conversation about it, and he was, you know, on the defense about it, like most people would, feel some type of way about it, because we didn't understand it. Because at first, when you initially hear it, you think, what are they going to be teaching our kids? And when you read I didn't read the whole law, but I just read like excerpts of what they were talking about. And I thought of Bayard Rustin. He was a pivotal person within the civil rights movement. He was with Dr. King, Rosa Parks, and the whole gang. And when I actually did Faces of Our History on our website during Black History Month about him, and he was openly gay, but he was pushed back. Like he wasn't known throughout the civil rights movement because he was gay. So when, like, he was good friends with Martin Luther King, he was a lawyer, he kind of went through, he basically did a lot of the behind-the-scenes legwork to push the civil rights movement to where it went. But he didn't get that credit because, you know, back, and I think I said it to somebody at some point, back then, you know, Martin Luther King and them were very spiritual people. You know, they were into the Word of God, and, you know, when you go to church, when you grow up in church, that being gay was a sin. So imagine back in that day and how, not saying that they were like that, you know, people, nobody's perfect, but to understand his plight of him being a major power player in this history, in his historic thing that he was doing, but he couldn't really get the shine, or like, not, I don't want to say the shine, like, it's not like he was doing it for credit, but he wasn't appreciated as much, or being shunned because of who he was. He was openly gay. He never tried to hide it, but this is why he was pushed to the behind the scenes, and he never really was acknowledged. And so to that part of what they're what they're trying to put into this history is to recognize those people, because they were different than others. They were kind of put aside, so they're trying to bring them to the forefront. So that part, I understand them wanting to teach that. You know what I'm saying? Right. But, like, that was the first name that popped up in my thing, and actually I just read an article, and one of the people actually had a quote talking about bringing him up. And I said, wow, because I learned about him the day that I first researched him, like years and years ago when I had my old blog. So that was kind of one of the names stuck out to me. But what do you think, Willie?
So, yeah, I mean, you know, from the overall standpoint of bringing this topic into the schools, you know, when we first discussed it, you know, I definitely had my reservations. I definitely had my opinions about it in terms of how I felt the not really the method. I think it was initially it was just the fact of the matter, right? You know,
yeah.
Trying to understand the reasoning behind it and trying to understand the I won't say the importance, because I got the importance up front of why they were trying to do what they're doing, but also trying to understand the how, you know what I mean? Because the reason I picked that title of, you know, is your 9-year-old ready, is because when I read that they were going to put this in 4th grade curriculum, you know, I had to think about that, like 4th grade, you know, kids are just turning, you know, 8, 9 years old. And
yeah, I think that Jersey had it at middle school age.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think California has the 4th grade curriculum already kind of mapped out to include this content. So, you know, I was looking at it from the standpoint of, you know, how is this method of distributing the history going to be done in such a way that you can tell an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old about sexuality?
Yeah.
And, you know, but then on the other hand, you know, we do see now, I mean, I think we had shared a video among ourselves, and I've seen it going around on the internet lately about I think it's a little boy that just got accepted to the Cub Scouts. That's a transgender boy. So he's, breaking that barrier. And I remember the kid, I can't remember her name, but basically she was like being, or going back and forth with the school system in her area because she wanted to be acknowledged as a girl, but, she had started school there she had started in the school system as a boy, and, they ended up, I think they went to the step of moving schools and all that kind of thing to kind of give her a fresh start. But I think that, having, and she also is in that age group, in that, actually, I think she might have been younger, like 6 or 7, and was her parents were allowing her to transition at around 7 or 8 years old. So you're talking kids are going into this transgender thing extremely early in terms of age compared to what we've expected or thought was going on. We're seeing it a lot earlier. I think the influence that having that history has is important to children when you're looking at it from the standpoint of, the reason we do it for Black history. We do it to bring pride, awareness, and understanding and tolerance for Black people, and doing that at a young age to influence young minds into understanding that, Black, African Americans, Africans in general, that they had an imprint and a foundation, or they put the imprint and they are the foundation of this country. So it's not to say that it's going to be as widely accepted, understood, but it's that method of saying, you know what, if we can get it into their minds now for acceptance and tolerance, it can grow from there versus waiting until, people have these preconceived notions and people have these, prejudices and things of that nature when they get older, because like you said, we grew up in a time in the era where a lot of this was pushed under the rug, was hidden. We didn't have social media. We didn't have, the activism that's out there now for LGBTQ. So it's like we have to create the tolerance now that wasn't available back then. And I think this is just another step towards that. People are going to fight it because, from a religious standpoint, from a social standpoint, people are still against a lot of it. And then there's a lot of not just misunderstanding, but just, not only failure to understand, but resistance to understand. And I think that, having to fight that battle is the tough one, you know what I mean? Because, when I was reading the articles about, bringing this into the school system, I was even fighting my own thoughts and measures about how this was going to go. And for me, it's not even about gay versus straight and all the other stuff. For me, it's more, how are you going to teach my kids about sexuality when I haven't even talked to them about sexuality at the age of 7 or 8? Well, not me personally, but you know what I mean, as a parent. Some parents wait until kids are in middle school. Some parents do things a certain way. When you're talking about sexuality from Christianity or from a religious standpoint, that goes one way or the other. There's certain ways people bring it up and certain ways people, describe it, but to have it in the school system, you lose that control, right? And you also you're not able to create the narrative you want to create, because it's a little more free, a little more open, a little more tolerant versus certain parents who want to be able to say, hey, I want you to understand sexuality as this from a religious standpoint, and I want you to be guided by, be it the Bible, be it our church, be it our whatever, or just the family values, and put that into place. But if you have either a conflicting or a competing narrative in schools, then that creates some conflict there. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot to be discussed. There's a lot to be understood about it. Hopefully through this conversation we're going to have, you know, for the people listening, it'll make a little more sense, or at least give a little more awareness and understanding, so that people can walk away and understand where they need to go from here and what they need to understand, or at least hopefully be able to know how they want to approach this going forward.
Yeah, I feel like and I agree. I feel like it's a lot of adjustment. I feel like I feel like how when you said how you felt differently or had a different idea of what it was, I did too. I was trying to figure out what exactly were they going to teach them. That was number one, because I feel like I feel like when, like, my first idea was what are you guys going to teach them, and if it's like, are you going to talk about like sexuality, like you know, all the different stuff about it. And I compared it to sex ed, because I know now, like I said, sex ed, they have it where you have to, like, they warn you, this year we're going to do sex ed. Is it okay that your child is in this class? If not, we'll give them we'll have something else for them, type of thing.
Right.
So I was like, okay, are they going to do in that aspect? Depending on what they're actually going to be talking about, because you just don't know. When you see something like that, you're like, okay, what the hell is about to happen? And then when after I researched it, or like kind of got like a better idea of where they were going with it, then it made me think of, like I said, what I said earlier in the beginning of the show, it made me think about that. Like, okay, so that makes sense. But I'm with the part of, like, somebody else, like, I read a comment that someone posted, and they were like, well, why does sexuality even need to be a thing? I'm thinking, that's why I said, like, I believe it was Jersey that their law is going to be as effective for kids that are in middle school, which would make more sense to me, because it's like at that age they kind of start liking whoever they like. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they start getting into liking boys, girls, whatever, and they go through that little, you know, figuring out, you know, about crushes and stuff like that. So I can see them talking about that, because that's I believe, for me, like, even though kids may know that they're different younger, but to really kind of know what you like, you really start liking, like, really having crushes, like real crushes in your middle school. Oh, he's so cute, I love it, or whatever. So it would make sense to bring it then and then talk about it. You know,
some of them in elementary too.
Huh? Well, elementary, yeah, but it's like little kids. It's not, you know, like, no, I don't think nobody really lets the kids date until they're in middle school or, you know, older. Some people wait a little older, so
right.
It would make more sense for that. But I just feel like it should be, if they're gonna do it, it should be middle school, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think talking about things like this in a very I guess that's the best way to explain it, is, or describe it as an immature environment. You know, to talk about this in a very immature environment becomes a challenge, I think. You know, so basically, when I was reading the article about California and the way that they were trying to approach it, you know, it was the story about the California pioneer who, you know, came to an old town, you know, gold rush and all that kind of stuff, you know, helped develop this town, became kind of a local hero, and, you know, not until he died did people realize he was born a woman. And they said that they were going to approach it as like that, like, you know, this is who this person was, these are the things that they accomplished, and then, you know, at the very end of their story is the fact that people found out that they had been a woman this whole time, and putting it into the reasoning perspective of why would the person have to do this? Oh, because of social pressures of not being able to own land and be a leader in the community when you're a woman, not being able to live the life you want to live or have the love you want to have when you're a woman in, you know, in this day and age, in that day and age. So I think that, you know, fighting laws and things of that nature. So I think that, you know, doing it from that approach is also kind of a competing issue, because from one perspective, you're going to have people who are going to say, okay, I get you, makes sense, because, yeah, there was a problem, you know, and in some places there still is a problem, especially around this world, where, you know, women aren't given the social or legal freedoms to do things that men are able to do. But then you're going to have people who are going to say, but you know what, this may not have been about that. This may have just been the fact that a woman wanted to live her life identified as a man, and she did what she did for the simple fact of the matter. You know, so there's still going to be that competing, you know, argument on that one. So I think, you know, it's a hard line to tread upon, because, you know, how do you satisfy everybody in bringing this curriculum out? You know what I mean? You know, who's going to approve of the way the curriculum is done? I mean, because when they decided in Texas that they were going to start talking about the Great Migration of Africans from the coast through the Caribbean and up and through the colonies, you know, we took a big offense to that, because this was not a migration. This was slavery. Like, people don't whitewash this. Don't water this down. This was slavery. This was human bondage for the simple pleasures and benefit of another race. So don't bring this down to a level of romanticism. You know, Ancestry.com just had an issue where they tried to romanticize slavery. So it's like you have people trying to create these narratives to make these things easier to push. And the thing is, you know, for the most part, people don't want you to make it easy. People want you to give us the harsh and the harsh realities and the truth. You know, so do you give a elementary school student harsh realities and the truth? Sometimes you do. Some people are going to say no, you don't. So I think that, you know, I know that as a black man, I want my kids, you know, and my grandkids and my great-grandkids to get the harsh realities as early as possible. You know, when they're just getting in school, when they're in elementary school, whatever it takes to get the harsh realities of the fact that we were slaves, this can't happen again, this was a problem, this was bad, whatever it takes, right? So I'm pretty sure as a lesbian or a gay person or a bisexual or a transgender person, they're going to want their truths to be true, not to be watered down, not to be self-serving, not to be made easy just because it makes somebody feel comfortable. They're going to want their truths to be true.
Yeah, and I think, I think that like this, looking at this situation, I feel like I'm actually I understand, and a lot of people get upset when you're accused when you link or try to I'm not gonna say it right, but make the LGBTQ struggle like closely aligned with the black struggle.
Oh, right, with civil rights, with civil rights
type of thing, and I get it, but. And then I get it to an extent, but as somebody, and it's funny because I laugh at this. I remember when Clay asked me this, do I not identify with LGBTQ? And I'm like, I don't really know, label myself as I'm just me. But as a person that fits into this LGBTQ thing, yeah, I would want, if it back then, it may have been harder for me to be exactly who I am. And they had to go through things I think a lot of people need to realize like especially within our black community, it's hard enough being a black, especially a black man. It's hard to be a black man in this day and age. Imagine being a black gay man.
Mm-hmm.
It's twice as hard.
Exactly.
And
exactly. If not
we as being different for anybody, being different. It sets you aside to make people look at you a little differently. Mm-hmm. And who wants to hide who they are? Like, not that some people wear it as a badge of honor and roll with it. Some, like, you get the flamboyantly gay people that's just living their best life unapologetically. Don't care because they're comfortable within themselves. Imagine having to hide who you are. Like, black folks, we can't hide it. We black. Nothing we can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But for gay people,
right.
they have to. And I don't want people to listen to this and think that I'm saying that their struggle is worse than ours. Everybody's struggle is everybody's struggle. I can't say one outweighs more than the other. I'm never going to say that. But to have to not be yourself, to make people feel like, imagine you've been hanging out with this person for the longest, and you find out that they're gay. Like you're your best friend. You've been hanging out with your best friend. He's been cool with you forever, and then you find out that he's gay. You might have questions, you know, about certain things. Like y'all done been through. Like y'all know how your men are. Y'all just shoot the shit and hang out. Like, you know, and it might make you feel a little different. Some people are okay with it, but it's the ideal of having to hide who you are to make people feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, you know how like families are. Some people are very religious. They don't accept it. They kick your ass to the curb. You like, you know, you gay, or I don't accept that at all. And then you ostracize from your family. You know, so I think that this will be a comfort to some kids who early on or at some point in their life realize that they're a little different from everybody else, and seeing that people that are just like them are accepted. Like, we don't have to like it. People gonna let people live and let other people live and love. You don't have to necessarily, like, if you believe that that's against your religion and you feel some type of way, guess what? You don't have to participate in that. But you can't tell a person to not be themselves. You know what I'm saying? So it'll help the younger generation that either has questions about themselves or don't really know what's going on with them and why are they different, but they just feel different, to feel like, hey, that's somebody like me, and this is what they did with their life, so I can do that too. Like how we are with our black kids. We got to see a black president. That, you know how many people, that little boys that or little girls that inspire to want to be something, because we were taught that we would never be able to achieve something like that. And that for that to happen, it's like, you know, it's to see that it can happen. If you reach to that goal, it can happen. So I just feel like, as much as, like I said this, and I'll say this, I would love for my kids to be heterosexual. If they're not, they're not. I'm not going to love them any less. I would be caught off guard about it, and I will be understanding. At the same time, because you have to, like, you gotta love your kids. That's your kid. Like, you should not you got to. You should love your kids regardless. But I think adding that extra boost of, you know, acceptance on that part is good for people. And I know, like, we've been dealing with a lot as far as like, you don't have to like it, you don't have to participate, you don't have to love it, but just let them be great. It's like what they're doing is not bothering you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think part of that, like when you mentioned about the whole, you know, parent thing, you know, and how parents approach it, you know, I mean, I know this one mother who she's in general, she's a great mom. She takes care of her kids, you know, she does what she can to take care of, you know, their needs, their wants, you know, and she's very, you know, I would say religious to a point of you know, wanting them to live by the religion, right? And when she approaches that subject, she's extremely harsh about it. She's extremely judgmental about it, to the point that, you know, I would definitely assume that if one of her kids was ever to be gay, they would be extremely afraid to tell her. They would be probably you know, they would be self-doubting as it is, as well as feeling like, you know, they'd have no support if they came out. So, and I know there's got to be thousands, if not millions, of people out there like that who've made that impression upon their families. You know what I mean? That they would, to the point of not only not supporting you, but maybe even disowning you if you come out as gay. So there's that issue, you know what I mean? Because when you don't even have support at home, I'm sure that makes life a whole lot tougher, especially when you're that young, when you have no way of supporting yourself emotionally, physically, mentally, you know, well, I won't say mentally and emotionally, but you know what I mean? You're still learning how to mentally and emotionally support yourself. You don't have the ability to do it, you know, from a standpoint of financially or dealing with, you know, the pressures that person can put on you. So, you know, the social, I guess you call it your social stance. You know, you have way less or no support there. It becomes a huge challenge. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just the emotional impact that can have on you when you think that even the person that bore you is probably going to disown you or probably going to feel some type of way about you. That's going to be additional pressures that are going to be hard to get through. So I think that, you know, a lot of the support that this kind of thing provides is a way of kind of reaching out to those people who don't feel they're going to have support somewhere else, or that feel like that they are, you know, maybe even not just alone, but just that they're alienated and that they, you know, are going to be looked at differently, you know, or they're going to be treated differently. I mean, in today's society, you know, as much as we want to make people more tolerant, there's still this resistance to be tolerant. As much as, you know, we want people to take the stand of saying, you know what, I'm going to mind my business, take care of me and my family, take care of, you know, what I'm doing for myself versus being judgmental about what somebody else is doing. But we still have that attitude and that mindset, even for the most non-judgmental people, to still judge. You know what I mean? So I think that, you know, having these types of policies and curriculums and other things in place, you know, I mean, it forces us, right? It's a force feed, you know. It's a lot. Like you said, it's hard to compare it, but it's the best example we have is the civil rights movement, because when you think about how racist and prejudice and intolerant people felt about integrating schools, integrating curriculums, allowing the upliftment of Black people, it's kind of in the same vein. At least you got to understand that it's in the same vein that you have to deal with the fact that you have to be force-fed tolerance in order to accept it. And if you don't, then, you know, hopefully the next generation will. So I think, you know, that's another aspect of this, is that, you know, they're doing their best to force feed tolerance.
Yeah, and I just think, like we talked about, we had past shows talking about the gender neutral things, and like, and I'm gonna say this as a person, a part of the community. I feel like with that, I remember, you know, we talked about, this was early on in the podcast years, we talked about how they were changing, they wanted to change the sources, not say boys, girls clothes, girls clothes, and boys toys and girls, so they just wanted to put the stuff out there and you figure it out. I don't like that. I still don't like that. I feel like boys clothes, girls clothes, it's very easy for me to go where I gotta go in the store and be done and get my stuff. I like the signs. I don't think it should. I don't think they should take that away from me. And I get it about being gender neutral, but if you or your child or whomever you are identify as whatever you feel like you identify with, you should be able to go into a store and get whatever the hell you're getting without judgment. Mm-hmm. Get whatever you want to get. You're not like somebody. It's online shopping. It's all different types of ways you can get clothes. If you feel like it's not that you should feel like you. Not that you. I'm not saying this. Not to say that you have to do online shopping. You should be able to go to any store and shop in any section and be okay, and nobody should bother you. Right. I don't think changing or taking down the signs will have any effect on it. So that part, I don't necessarily like. I feel like some things for me is not that big of a deal. The women's clothes, the men's clothes, the girls' clothes, the boys' clothes, the boys' toys and the girls' toys. So what? You know where you gotta go. It makes it easier for moms and people that's going to the store trying to go get one specific thing and be in and out and not have to walk through the store to figure out where stuff is. That's what we have signs for, to tell us where we're going. Like bathrooms over this way, like elevator this way, boys' clothes, men's section. We should be able to know that because I don't want to be in a department store trying to figure out where the hell I'm going, and I'm only coming to get one thing or a few things.
Exactly.
So like that extreme, I can't. I'm not on board with, and I don't feel like I have to be on board with it just because I am who I am.
And exactly, and the thing is too is that not, you know, we also have to keep in mind not everybody is reserved to that. You know, I mean, I don't mind people feeling like, you know, they want to be able to be gender neutral or they want to be able to flow freely. I mean, like the whole situation with the guy who wore the dress, right? Like, let that man be the dress wearing man he want to be. I don't care. I really feel like he's not affected. He not affecting my money. He not affecting my family. You know, when we go shopping, just because he wants to wear what he wants to wear, that's fine. Let him do him. But I don't want to be unduly influenced either. So I don't need, you know, all the men's clothes to be turned into women's clothes and vice versa. I don't need, you know. I mean, the thing is like we have to have choice, right? You know, let me choose to be the man I want to be. And let him choose to be the man he wants to be. You know, we shouldn't have to be forced to look a certain way and do things a certain way just because, you know, somebody wants, you know, to do life in the way they want to do it. That has nothing to do with me, you know, and I shouldn't have to suffer because of it, you know. I mean, I got it bad enough being a older black man where, you know, my choices in urban clothing are dwindling because everybody want to wear skinny jeans or you know.
I hate that.
Yes, I mean, you know, I was and what I started noticing in the music lately is people talking about, you know, not wearing baggy clothes and all this. Like, I like my clothes baggy. I'm sorry, I don't like nut huggers. That's not you know, cool to me. I don't see nothing cool about it.
It got to be baggy. Just make sure it fits.
Exactly.
I say it over and over again. I love you guys, but I'm not dating no guy, no grown-ass man with no freaking skinny jeans on. If your jeans tighter than mine, we can't date.
Exactly.
I don't have time for that.
Problem.
Like, so, I'm talking about the jogger, jeggings, the skinny, none of it.
Right.
I will have none of it.
But, you know, I think the thing is that, you know, hey, if they want to wear their skinny jeans, let them wear them. If they want to wear their dresses, let them wear them. I don't really care. But I should also have my option to be able to wear regular fitting clothes that look like men's clothes. That's just me. I just feel that that's important to me. Let me be great, you know. So, and also, you know, the situation, like I was at a hotel about a month ago or 2 months ago. Actually, it was in the beginning of the summer. I take that back. It was the beginning of the summer. I was at a hotel. They were having a conference, and so the bathrooms were all unisex. All became unisex. So, you know, it was like there was signage up that let you know that the conference was there and that, you know, things were modified for the comfort of the conference and the comfort of and not only the comfort of the conference, not really the comfort, probably a bad choice of words, but basically for the understanding of what the conference was there for, but also to kind of, you know, express the narrative. And I didn't have a problem with it. I'm like, you know, we walked into the bathroom, each of the bathrooms, I mean, you know, when you think about it, actually, it was funny. One of my coworkers was talking about this. Fact is, you know, bathrooms are set up a certain way everywhere you go. You know, left is women, right is men. So it's like when I walked in, I knew which way to go anyway, regardless. But the thing was, you know, some people, they knew as well, but they did it on purpose to walk into a different bathroom. Some people didn't know. You know, like one of my coworkers, he was like, I didn't know which way to go. I just picked the bathroom. I walked in, it was all women. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it happens, no big deal. My thing is, you know, everybody has their modesty, everybody has their way of doing things. But then there's certain people who, like one of my other coworkers, he was like, man, I couldn't go in there and take a leak and there's women in the bathroom. That was weird to me and I couldn't even do it. I had to go and find another bathroom. And it's like, everybody has their comfort levels with things, you know. Like, you know, I mean, I've been married. I was married before for like, you know, 8 years, 7 years, whatever it was. And so I got used to women walking in the bathroom and doing other stuff while I'm using the bathroom. So I had like, you know, in my mind, that's just normal stuff. I got kids too. I got like, you know, 6 to 10 kids that I had go through my house. You lose all privacy. You lose all modesty. So
I don't have privacy now. My son will sit in the bathroom and be like, what you doing, Mom?
Exactly. So, you know, but there's people who they feel some type of way where they're like, hey, you know what, I don't feel this. I'm not feeling this. I don't want this, you know. So are we pressuring people to adhere to something that we want everybody to adhere to regardless of their feelings about it? In a way,
that's what's happening. But that's what's happening, though. And I don't, like, and that's what's happening. And I feel like it shouldn't be that way. Yes, we're all about inclusion, but it should be like how if we go to a mall right now, there's a family bathroom, there's a mom changing room that you can either go into with a baby to breastfeed and change them. It's the women's room and it's the men's room. Okay, so have a community bathroom, one, you know, for one person to go into. That it's not gender specific. It's just a bathroom, like a community bathroom or a family bathroom or whatever it is. But like the mall has like 4 different bathrooms. Even like it got all these different bathrooms. So why are we now going to change the whole narrative? Like I said, and like you said, a lot of people that don't feel comfortable with that. I don't know how I would feel. Like it's one thing to be home dealing with people coming in and out of the bathroom and, you know, mixed kids coming in. Oh, hey, listen. Oh, that's different. You're home.
Right.
You're talking about a public
it's a whole
place.
different thing when you talk about public places.
It's very different. So
weirdos.
It should be. Yeah, I'm all for the equalness and the acceptance, but I feel like at this point it's being force fed, and then if you say something against it, you're either labeled as a homophobe, and it's like, no, I'm neither of those things. But I have a problem with this because everybody's not that comfortable. Like I'm not even. I remember when I took when I was trying to join the Navy, and I had to take my ASVAB, and I was like that when I passed that, and I had to go to to stay on the base to do this whole thing that we had to do. This training before we had to go, we had to do all this testing and all like that, whatever. And you had to pee in the cup in front of somebody. Like there was no doors on the stall. And the lady like, okay, pee. And she's sitting and looking at me, and I'm like, yeah, I can't. I got a shy bladder. I can't even people somebody trying to talk to me at work in the next stall over. I can't. Like I'm just sitting there like, okay, can you stop talking so I can feel comfortable enough to pee? Because it's weird to me. But somebody is looking at me with no door on the stall waiting for me to pee in a cup. I got a shy bladder. I'm gonna be sitting there forever and knowing that it's a grown man in the bath, like just women things, changing the tampon and stuff like that, or a pad. It's noisy as hell. It's not quiet. So you're in the bathroom and somebody come in there and you the paper lifting up. It's a lot. I don't feel comfortable with knowing that it's men in the bathroom. We walk away from y'all and go in the room to fart. You right in the bathroom with us? No, that's not. I'm not going to be let loose. If I have gas, I'm going to hold in. Then my stomach going to be all messed up. I'm going to have gas pains because I was trying to be cute because I don't know who the cute strangers walking in the bathroom with me, and I'm trying to be cute, so now I can't fart. Like, no, I don't want to be able to do these things in a woman's bathroom while I'm not looking at another man walking in. I'm just saying. Maybe I'm being unrealistic. I don't know.
No, I mean, I think you're spot on. You know, I mean, because it's one thing to be force-fed tolerance. It's another thing to be force-fed, you know, inclusion and acceptance from a high level where everything is included. You know, and it's like like you said, I'm all for being tolerant and inclusive, you know, of most things, but there's some things that just need to be, you know, a choice. You know, there's some things that just need to be, like you said, between bathrooms and clothing, and I mean, there's a few other things, and education. I mean, I already see that this is going to be a challenge and a problem. I want things to be straight up, cut and dry to a point, but there's certain things that just go kind of outside the realm. You know, I want it to be taught that you should be tolerant and accepting of people's choices and their life choices and the way that they want to live life, you know, but trying to teach a 9-year-old or 8-year-old or 7-year-old what being homosexual is and you know, being a woman when you were born a man and vice versa, that's a lot. You know, it's a lot to put upon a kid, you know what I mean? And especially the influence, you know, I'm not a big proponent of you're gay because it's a fad. I'm not a big proponent of that. I do look down upon that thought process, but I know how influential ideas can be on children, on young minds, and you know, the things that we put in their minds can flourish, grow, and create the way that people act, do things, and move forward in life. So I think that sometimes some of these things can be a little too influential. You know, is it an evil thing? No. Is it a bad thing? No, not really. But is it bad to influence a person in the way that they choose love, in the way that they choose their lifestyle, in the way that they do things in life? I think it is. Because at some point you got to realize that people will gravitate towards things because it becomes the norm, or it becomes something that's exciting to them. You know, if it's what you call it, taboo enough, it becomes exciting. You know, that's the reason why kids get on drugs, because it's like, oh, we know this is bad. But everybody's doing it, and yeah, I mean, like one of my daughters, she's a huge supporter of legalizing weed, marijuana. She's an activist. She's worked at dispensaries, so she preaches the benefits and all the good that legalized marijuana can provide. You know, that's her thing. That's her passion. So, you know, when she's discussing these things, I have to be conscious of this and make sure that my younger children aren't unduly influenced, because I still want them to make a conscious and a responsible decision about their lives, to realize that there's one way of doing it and there's another way of doing it. You know, you could be functional and still, you know, smoke weed and that kind of thing. That's true. But if you don't do it responsibly, you can end up on the opposite side of that and be irresponsible with it. So there's certain things that we still have to keep in mind and making sure we're teaching our children and doing it the way we want to do it. And I should have a choice. You know, and I tell my daughter all the time, hey, that's fine, but you have to preach that somewhere else. Or you have to preach that in such a way that you're not unduly influencing your siblings to make them think that, oh, it's just okay and cool to just start smoking weed right now while you're still in middle school, and, you know, now you're about to ruin your life because you're doing it irresponsibly. So, you know, there's a time and there's a place. There's a way, there's a method, and there's a manner of how you do things. And I think, you know, how that's done sometimes has to be left up to people's choices and not be pushed upon them. But there's, you know, then there's the issue of, at some point, some things have to be accepted. I mean, it's hard. Life is hard, though. We got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I just don't want. I don't know, but I feel like most people, like even as a kid, you kind of realize, like I said, you kind of realize, like, I can think back. I don't know how far I can think back, but I remember very vividly when I realized I was a little bit different, and I didn't know what it was. Like, I didn't know what it was. I never really said anything about it or anything like that. I never really asked the question. But I feel like if they're going to introduce this curriculum into schools, I think that they need to have train the school counselors to be able to or some type of, maybe it should be different type of counselor that can talk to kids that are going through these different, like, you know, school counselors really worried about what you're doing in school, how you're doing in school, stuff like that, whatever. But I remember when I went to high school, they had what's called peer leadership counseling or whatever. And when you had, like, different problems that had nothing to do with school, with just life problems, you can go sit and talk to somebody and kind of, you know, bounce that out. Like, it was like a big brother sister program because it was like the seniors with the lower classmen. And you were able, they match you with somebody that kind of basically, like, checked in on you, make sure you were okay, you know, stuff like that. I feel like they should have something like that for those types of situations where you have the kids that either even as low as middle school, because I had mine in high school, but middle school, you can have counselors in there in case a kid has got, like, ideas about, you know, they feel a little different. They, you know, they have questions. They don't know who to talk to because, you know, most kids don't want to talk to their parents, you know. So it should be somebody in the school as a counselor that can kind of talk with them about whatever these feelings they're feeling, to kind of, you know, not like just give them advice and just let them vent, and then either point them in the right direction of where they need to go to get, you know, some understanding of what's going on with them.
Right. Yeah,
because
I think. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say we already have enough issues with kids not feeling like they don't have, like, I know I did mentoring. I did middle school and high school, but middle school, that's that age where they're going through that transition. And I think if you catch them there and just have a conversation with them, because I know talking to my kids when I did mentoring, it was like you find out so much about what these kids are either going through, have gone through, and some of them just need somebody to talk to that's not talking to them in an authoritative kind of manner, but like just talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will benefit, and that's been my experience. This is kind of get in their head and talk to them like a normal person.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're 100% right that, you know, having the either peer counselors or some kind of counseling and guidance, not even really guidance, but more, like you said, more like someone there that you can really talk to, discuss these things, get a sounding board, someone who can really, you know, just understand where you're coming from and be able to guide you through your process while you're processing it. I think that is, you know, essential and definitely very effective in order to be able to you know, tackle this type of situation, you know, especially when people are in that phase of self-discovery, of trying to understand how and where they're going in their life. You know, being able to have that open conversation is huge. You know, I mean, what we do here is kind of part of that too. You know, because sometimes just being able to discuss things and get some ideas out in the open, you know, I mean, we could think about them all day, but once you start talking about them, talking through them, you know, it makes a world of difference. You know, I mean, there's been plenty of times where I've had my opinions either modified, changed, or at least understood. Had my one thought process going a certain way for you or Clint to say, you know what, this is what we think about this, and then me going, dang, you know what, let me think about it from that perspective. Let me take something away from that, you know, and be able to either interject that into my own opinion or maybe even change my opinion and lead me down a different path. You know, I think it's definitely essential to kind of have that ability to sound out and have somebody else sound back what you're trying to get through, so that way you can make a more mature and conscious decision about what you're doing.
Yeah, but I feel like it's going to be an ongoing trend. Everybody wants to be accepted, okay, and which is fine. We have, you know, different acts, we talked about, I know we talked about the ADA accommodation laws that has the people that's sick, all types of things that where we, like, you accommodate them and stuff like that, whatever. And it's a lot that, like, that's the case, we got them help. They need to change a lot more because they have autistic people. That's another thing. Or people that will have those types of learning disabilities. That's the case. So what we're going to, like, they should be included, too, with all these different changes and being accepted and stuff like that. And so then that will lead to integrating all the classes to make them feel not different or separated from everyone else. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's going to be, like, I feel like some things are, like, especially with my son, I feel like the separation of him being in the different class for him, eventually he'll be able to be integrated into an integrated class where kids with special needs and then regular, what they consider normal kids, like that, whatever. But I think sometimes we like to be separate. Like us black folks, we like to be separate. For us, by us, we like to be an individual community, Identify with our own, like LGBTQ, they got their own community. Everybody has Latinos, they have their own little community and how they communicate, how they do things within their own groups. So I think that it's good to be separate and it's also good to be together. But I think it's just gonna get. I think it's gonna get to the point where it gets out of hand. And like we said earlier, there's a lot of force feeding of it's a lot of forcing everybody to conform to what they consider to be accepting everything, and it's kind of like it's I don't know. Like I just feel like it should be. It needs to be done differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we can definitely adjust to certain changes for the better for everybody, but I think some things definitely need to be separate, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, or like you said, have options, right? We can
have an option. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, at some point I feel like at some point it does have to be there, right? It has to be there. There has to be some kind of requirement to kind of get that information and to get that guidance to tolerance, right? To be able to say, hey, this is something we need to learn to accept, and at this point in your life, this is when we're going to give it to you and say, hey, this is important to understand. This is it's important to be conscious of people who are going to need your acceptance, who are going to need you to be to not be judgmental, things of that nature.
To be a little sensitive to what other people are going through. Like, and that's for everything. Like we're sensitive to elderly, we're sensitive to handicapped people, we're sensitive to we should be sensitive race-wise, we should be sensitive religion-wise, culturally, stuff like that. And there's a lot of different things that, like I said, you look at, and I'm not trying to bring it because it's my issue, but with like the autism, I think people need, and like depression, mental illness, like things like that need to be accepted because we should be, I think, like, and I said this to somebody a couple, like probably last week or a week or two ago, and I was talking about how I feel like every school system, whether it's public, private, or how whatever, should be trained to identify not just learning disabilities, but like autism, stuff like that. Because when you go through, when your child is, when you find out something different with your child or your loved one, the schools, like some schools are not equipped to deal with them. I think all schools should be equipped to deal with them, or know how to teach them, know how to, handle them, and know the signs to understand it for what it is, and not just to be, because half the, like if you look at it like this, half the kids that you think are bad, or otherwise are just problem kids, they probably have a learning disability that either their family chose to ignore, or teachers have allowed it to go on and not catch it to where it could be corrected. Because you look at it like this. My son was a good kid for, you know, the better part of his daycare. Talk about daycare. He was fine. Everybody loved him. And then toward, like, when he got diagnosed, prior to him getting diagnosed, his behavior changed. He was acting out. He was crying. They had to call me to the point where he was so upset that they couldn't calm him down. He was just full tantrum all the time. And it wasn't until we realized that we found out he was autistic because he couldn't express himself. He didn't know nobody. He was able to understand that nobody understood him, and he was frustrated. You know how many kids in school act up because they're frustrated because nobody understands what's going on with them? So I think
that's true. That's true.
It shouldn't just it shouldn't just be restricted because public schools can identify it, but it shouldn't just be public schools. It should be like I should be able to want to send my child anywhere, any school district, anywhere, and they should have special services for kids like my child or other kids that have different disabilities. But it's you know what I'm saying, you have to send them to either a school specifically for them or send them to a public school. What if your public school sucks? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that we should be, and even like mental illness, kids go through that as well as adults. I think that the whole system needs to be changed to identify these different things. Because I think that it would be for the benefit of these kids. If they need help, point them where they need to go.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because, I mean, like you said, especially when it comes to dealing with kids who are generally, identified or tagged as being troubled. And like you said, it could just be they're just frustrated or they're just misunderstood or they may have situations going on that on a general level is not easy to deal with because most of these teachers don't have training to deal with that. Most of these school systems don't have training to deal with that. So you need some specialized training, some specialized professionals to handle that. I think that's definitely a good point because if we catch those things early on, we can make those situations a little easier for these kids to deal with. We can make school a little more easier and less frustrating for kids who are going through that. I've seen a few videos, one too many, of course, where these untrained, unprofessional caregivers, one would call them teachers, caregivers are like abusing these poor babies because the baby is crying or upset or maybe falling out because of one reason or another. I was watching one video. This lady was mad because I don't know what the little girl did. Basically, the little girl did something that she needed to clean up, and she couldn't have been more than like 4, maybe 5 years old. And the lady was like bopping her, smacking her in the head. And I'm like, one, you about to make this child have mental issues the way you hitting her in the head. And then two, the kid is crying to the point of hystericalness. She doesn't even understand what's happening or why it's happening. She doesn't know what she's even supposed to be doing. I mean, I was surprised that the kid didn't pass out how hard she was crying. And it's like that kind of thing right there. One, is unacceptable, but two, it's the proof that you got these people who are doing jobs for a paycheck and not realizing that they're out of their league or this situation is outside of their expertise and their abilities and hey, I understand you get frustrated, but you can't take it out on people like that, especially not a baby.
Exactly. Exactly.
And being able to realize that, hey, you know what, this is a special case where I need to, even if the kid is like in general normally easier to deal with or you can normally get through the day with them, this may be that day you can't, and you need to take them out of that situation and say, you know what, let me get them in the hands of the professional who can handle this, or let me get them in the hands of a counselor who can figure out who's the professional that can handle it, because it may not be your job to do that. So, at the point of realizing that we have to have more, not only the compassion, but the understanding to see that things have to be handled a certain way, you know, because you may also have the situation like my grandson, my second oldest grandson, who had a very troubled life outside of, you know, at home, and then, you know, translated that into school. So, and his teacher, you know, I'm pretty sure she never put hands on him. I'm pretty sure she never, you know, did any yelling at him, anything like that. But the problem is she also never did anything, you know what I mean, in terms of dealing with him. She just let him fall out or be, you know, disruptive or whatever he was doing. So it was like, you know, she was the other opposite extreme of, you know, I'll just do nothing and just let it pass. And so, of course, he didn't do very well in school. He didn't really, you know, interact properly. And it's like, you know, if she would have understood, hey, there's a different situation he needs to be put in. Maybe he needs more one-on-one. You know, you're in a class with 25 to 35 little kids. He needs a class with 5 or 6 kids and a professional who understands how to deal with these emotional and social scars this kid has from his home life. You know, so, you know, I think that it's something that we have to realize that some things are just outside of your realm of expertise, and you have to let somebody else handle it. So yeah. You know, I think it goes both ways. You know, so we definitely have to have those options.
These schools are so overwhelmed, so understaffed, so underpaid.
Well, you know, if we stop putting $7 billion into walls and $80 trillion into wars, we could probably pay for better schools and better teachers training and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. And I just feel like, and I don't want to, like, it's, as we as parents got to do better. We have to understand that I think people get caught up on labels, and a lot of people are scared to have labels. I know with my son's teacher that comes to my house, she said she get parents of all different races that still haven't accepted that their kid has this label, whether it's autistic or some type of disabled thing where they have a different learning issue, and they don't get they get the help, but they don't really do their part. Right.
So the kids are falling by the wayside in some form or fashion, and it's just, I feel like we are tolerant. We are learning tolerance to accept so many different other things, but we're not tolerant enough to understand that, you know, other people need tolerance as well. Like, everybody should be accepted, you know, whether we feel good, bad, or indifferent about it. Everybody just wants to be accepted as they are, and to not accept somebody because of who they are or what they are is ridiculous. Like, at the end of the day, them being who they are and dealing with what they have to deal with within their everyday life has absolutely nothing to do, or like, what is my mom? What mom, when her saying was, if it don't apply, let it fly. If it don't apply to your life, let it fly. Like, what is the Bible says a lot of things. At the end of the day, somebody being gay or somebody being transgender or whatever does not affect you. Like, God not going to strike you down because your child or family member is gay, and you down with Jesus like a hardcore person, and you going to burn in hell because they're gay. You live your own life, be who you need to be, because half of them ain't even living right themselves. So if you're going to hell, you're going to hell. Right. Like, so, because you did it, not because somebody else did it, because you did it. If that's what you believe you're going to hell for, then you're going to go to hell. Me being who I am has nothing to do with you. Right. So I think if ever, like when MYOB, mind your own business, it's the best option. It is, because And just accept people. Like, people are who they are. If you love them, love them. No matter what they are, love them. No matter who they are, it shouldn't affect your love for them. I think, I think I said it on the show about relationships. Unconditional love is unconditional love. It's without a condition. I love you, but you can't be gay. Like, no, you unconditionally love me. Period. Mm-hmm. Wherever my flaws are, unconditionally love me. And be done with it.
Right. I agree.
But I don't know. I guess I'm just talking. I don't know. No, I mean, like, it. You know, that's the best way I could say that, because, and I always, like, for the last couple of months, I've been saying that. Just in relationship issues, family issues that I've been going through and stuff like that. It's unconditional. I think I wrote on my blog a while back, which I have neglected my blog, but I wrote a while back about unconditional love. It's without conditions. And people don't do that. They love you with conditions. They love you, or they can't love you because you're not doing what they want you to do. You're not who they want you to be. You know, like, I can't help it if I am attracted or like what I like. I need you to still love me because I'm a person. You know, I have feelings, right. And I don't like. It's like me saying to you, Willie, I can't mess with you because you're a heterosexual. Like, I don't accept that. You know.
I don't accept all that foolishness, all that.
Yeah, and I respect you for who you are, and that's it. And I'm gonna say this again. I think that, in the same breath that I said that, I think that I feel like a lot of stuff is being pushed upon us or force fed to us to conform to these things that don't just affect people of different genders, whatever. It's affecting everybody, and it shouldn't affect our daily life. It should be included, but it shouldn't abruptly change everything. Like, the only thing now I'm saying that, and then I'm thinking about how we integrated schools, but that was for the betterment of everybody.
Mm-hmm. Right. True.
You're talking about, I don't know. Like, now I'm thinking about it. I don't know, but I personally don't like it. I don't want to be forced into a gender-neutral bathroom situation. I'm not, like I said, I need to fart away from men. So, like, you know, y'all can think that us cute women are still cute. Like, I say it. Like, I'll tell anybody, if I love you, oh, yeah, I'm about to go fart. I'll be right back. And like, come on, keep it classy. No, but I need you to love me if I fart. Don't talk, like, you know, right. Like, but you know, the new stuff, you don't want to be like you like. It's a comfortability thing, and I just feel like we should be able not that we're farting, guys, but because cute people don't fart, whatever. That's a lie. Whatever. Cause, no, like, I'm like, whatever. Like we don't burp or throw up. Like, it's stuff that happens. Part of life. But I just feel like it's going to make people feel uneasy, uncomfortable. And maybe people may feel like it's a learned process, and eventually you'll get okay with it. I'm not going to be okay with it. I don't want to walk into a public bathroom with other people, with grown men. I don't. Like, I know some people still get weirded out when you bring your son into a women's bathroom. Look what you're doing. No, I'm not going. Like, he ain't old enough to go to the bathroom by himself. He coming in here.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have seen that too, where people have taken issue depending on the age or the size of the kid. You know, because I remember it was I forgot where I was at. I want to say it was either a mall or a department store, and I saw a lady take her somebody called him her grown son into the women's bathroom. And, you know, and I thought about it, I was like, you know, but when you think about it in today's day and age, you know, you never know what you send where you sending your kid into in a situation, you know, regardless of how big they are. So having them with you, it just feels more safe and more comfortable for a lot of people. Not to say that, she's babying him or coddling him or feeling like that he can't handle it on his own. She just may not feel safe for letting her 7-year-old or 6-year-old go into a public bathroom by himself.
Or maybe
not
he
knowing
has
who's in there,
disability.
or true that, or maybe he has issues that he needs to help address. Exactly, So there's a variety of issues there that could be being addressed by her doing that, and us judging her and making it out.
You need to mind their business. It won't be.
Exactly.
Hold on 1 second, Willie. We just got a call. I want to get him in before we wrap the show. Hold on.
All right.
Caller, you on the line with GFT Radio. What's your name and where you're from?
Hi, my name's Thaddeus. I'm from Brighton. How are you?
Hello. Hi. Thaddeus, right? I said it right this time, Willie.
You did.
How did you get that one right? What's up with that?
I don't know. I actually heard his name. I'm like super horrible with names, and I apologize, but I'm going to remember that. Go ahead.
No, you got it right.
But I don't know if you've ever listened to our show before, but Sunny likes to butcher everybody's name. She barely gets my name right.
That's funny. No, I was just calling. You guys are on a super important topic. I know you're talking about unisex bathrooms, and you don't want to fart in front of somebody and not be cute. But I mean, the bathroom at your house is unisex. You use that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, no, but that's
we get so
why I said,
about.
I'm okay with that part. It's just for me, a public setting like at a mall, completely be like, wait, I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, but are you going to run into that people again? Who cares what they think?
No.
We get so wrapped up into like a label and putting a name on a door and making that super important instead of it just being a bathroom. One of the things the school our daughters go to, when they put the school together, they actually just put bathrooms in between each classroom. So you could attach, each classroom has access to 2 bathrooms. And their whole thing is like, don't interrupt the whole class if you have to go to the bathroom. You don't need a special hall pass. You don't need to, interrupt, 20 other kids. Like if you have to go to the bathroom, just get up and go to a bathroom.
Is it a one-stall bathroom or is it multiple?
It's one stall, but there's 2 attached in between each classroom.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. It's different because if it's one stall, they can't go in together. You know what I'm saying? One has to wait till somebody comes out.
Same with the stall, though, right? How many people you shoving into a stall?
Yeah, but I don't know. That's just weird for me. I wouldn't know. That's just me. I would feel weirded out for that. Because I'm walking out, somebody could be in.
Yeah, and
no, it wouldn't be that when we go out. Like if we're at a club and there's a line in the women's room, I just stand in front of the door and have my wife go into the men's room. Like just use the bathroom. We get so wrapped up in something horrible is going to happen in the bathroom. Well, no, probably not. Mostly it's just in our head, and that's half the labels is in our head.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I could dig it.
Yeah, I was talking about earlier. I don't know if you heard that part we were talking about with I went to a hotel that had a conference, and they made the bathrooms gender neutral. And in my mind, I already know which bathroom is which. So I chose just based on just force of habit. But I know some people went in, to break the norm, and there are certain people who just didn't know. So it didn't bother me because I'm so used to my kids, my ex-wife, other people walking in on me while I'm using the bathroom. So, perfect strangers doing it didn't bother me either. So it was like, it's whatever, But I do notice there are certain people like I was at that hotel for a conference myself, for a different conference. And the people I was with, there was one person who was like, they were also felt like no big deal. But then there was another person who was like, oh, no, I couldn't do it. I couldn't have women walking around while I'm trying to use the bathroom. I had to go find another bathroom. And it's everybody's got their comfort, and other people have their income, be uncomfortable about certain things. Then there's the issue of people taking their kids into bathrooms. I know my thing is that, and like you said there, it's like certain things are like in people's heads. But I think that some things people also have to think about is like it's just not it's not our business, but then also it's just not our business. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
right,
it's like,
exactly. She was saying that earlier, like mind your business, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like it's just.
Like, I'm doing my business. You mind yours.
Exactly. If I'm not hurting you,
and it shows up like your original post was about middle school. Is middle school the right time to introduce these topics? And we started these discussions with our kids from much younger. The idea that people want to live their life and be different. Like she said earlier, like it has nothing to do with you. Just you be you, let them be them. One of my friends responded to your post on Facebook, and she said, her 8-year-old was a little confused the first time she met someone that was trans, and she explained, my daughter was too. Wants to live his life as a woman, and she was like, oh, her hair is beautiful. Until we train kids to think it's weird, it's not weird.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah, because I remember my daughter first.
Go ahead, Sonny.
No, my daughter. We had someone that lived that hung up on our street that had she was a female, but she dressed like a guy. And my daughter walked up to her and was like, "Hey, are you a girl or are you a boy?" And she she was like in first grade, and she was like, "Cause you got boobs but you don't have no hair." And the girl was like, "Oh, it's a daughter." But I was like, "But she wants she's a kid." Like, I didn't tell her to ask you that. She just, I tried to explain it the nice. I said, well, she's a girl boy. She's a female. She likes to look like a boy, just like a boy. So that's what she does. She's a girl boy. And then she started calling people, oh, hey, are you a girl boy? And she didn't know what she was. I'm like, no, don't do that. But I didn't know how to explain it to her because she was so young. I didn't think she would understand.
Sure. Yeah. No, Willie and I went to school together. We, when I was down at Cass Tech, I moved down to the corridor. I had a place on Hancock, and we didn't have as many labels. We didn't have trans and pronouns, and we didn't, put that language to it. So I thought, he was a drag queen, lived down the street from us, and instead of worrying about how she dressed, I just found out she liked Newport. So I'd bring her a pack of smokes, and she'd yell at people who tried to steal my parking space. It's just. You can put whatever words you want on it, but mostly it's just about, getting out of your own way and letting people be themselves.
Right.
Okay, hold on, guys. We got 2 more calls. I want to get them in. We got about 7 minutes left. Actually, I'm sorry, 6 minutes left. So I'm going to add this other caller in real quick. Hold on. Caller, you on the line with GLT Radio. What's your name and where you from?
Hi, my name is Tasha. I'm calling from Philadelphia.
Hi, Tasha. From Philadelphia.
Hi, how are
I'm getting names right today. I'm so excited. We're fine. What's your comment?
Well, I actually just called into the show. I was on Blog Talk and I was looking for a show to come into, but your topics is very interesting. The thing I didn't hear a lot of you guys' comments in regards to what you guys was talking about, but one of the things that was posted up there was what was the allowing LGBT history to be taught in schools. So what grade levels do you guys think would be appropriate to children?
So
I know
right now, they're in California. They're doing it for 4th graders as early as 4th grade. And in my opinion, the way that they're doing it is what's important. And right now, they're kind of pushing it towards the social, the legal, and the choice aspect of it. Not really to do with the sexuality of it. And that was my concern. It's like I don't feel like a school should be teaching my 3rd grader or my 4th grader sexuality,
right? But
teaching them, about having to make choices in life because of legal restrictions, social restrictions, and things of that nature, prejudices. Preconceived notions, I think that's important because we got to have we have to cut and dry the fact that this country and this world can be very cruel, and things have been done a certain way that needs to stop or to be modified, changed, and it has to be done at that age where people can understand, and that age I think is appropriate. But from a sexuality standpoint, I feel like it should be.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, what I'm saying is basically teaching a kid that people have to make certain choices because there's prejudices in the world, right? Because one of the examples they gave in California was there's a guy who was a pioneer who helped develop a town. He was a local hero and all this kind of thing. And when it came down to it, turns out he was born a woman. So they were saying they're going to teach these 3rd and 4th graders that he made this choice because, at the time, women couldn't own property. Women couldn't be social leaders. Women couldn't do these certain things because of prejudices against women. So I think at that level, that's fine because you're teaching them about the why. But in terms of that sexual choice, if that person was really doing it just from the fact of, hey, I just want to be a man and not a woman, the sexuality of it. Maybe that he liked women and wanted to have the role of a man, whatever that case was, teaching them that should come later. I feel like that type of thing has to come, during the sex ed time period, end of middle school, beginning of high school, that type of period. When you start to talk about sexuality, when you start to talk about sexual choices. So I think that's the where you have to have a cutoff, right? You have to be able to the way you approach the subjects versus what subjects you're going to approach.
Wow. Okay. I mean, me personally, I actually don't think it should be taught to children at that age. I think they're still children. Their brains are basically still being formed. I think the kids should be kids. They should not be bombarded with having to deal with those types of situations. If you're going to be who you are, be who you are. I don't think you should have to be taught because, unfortunately, when things are being taught to kids jump on the bandwagon and not follow who they really are. I'm totally against that by all means in every way possible. Let kids be kids. You're going to be who you are regardless. I don't think that it should have to be taught about who you need to be as far as your sexuality because you're going to be who you are. Unfortunately, I'm not against the LGBT community, but also I just feel as though a lot of this stuff is being shoved down our faces, and it's not fair, and it's being shoved down to our children at an early age when they're not at a point where they can make these life-changing decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said that early on because and as a person that's a part of that community, I feel like certain things are being forced upon us, or not forced, but shoved down our throat to be accepting of these different changes. And then if you don't agree with it, it's that homophobic language is now being thrown at people, and it's like. Everybody's entitled to be exactly who they are. I'm entitled to be a black person and be however I want to be, and that's exactly who I am, and I'm not going to apologize for being who I am. And like I said, most people want to be accepted. I think being taught different contributions that different LGBTQ people have made history and affected social change or affected any type of change or made any type of historical thing being taught to them, like being taught to our kids about, like this person, like the person Willie brought up that was grew up that was a woman but was identifying as a man. You got people like Bayard Rustin, like we talked about, that was a very pivotal person in the civil rights movement, but he was kind of pushed to the back because he was an openly homosexual male. So I think that they need to learn history, regardless of who that person was, their sexuality. They need to know history, and if they can look at somebody like Bayard and say, "Oh, he was a homosexual person that was very pivotal in the civil rights movement, that did a lot of great things behind the scenes, and I want to look up to him because I'm a homosexual person, and I want to affect change and blah blah blah, and I shouldn't be pushed to the back too." That's definitely where they need to go because that's who they identify with. That's them looking at somebody that reflects who they are.
Okay, well, my thing is just like whatever you do in your own personal bedroom, that's your business. You don't have to advocate that. You don't have to promote it at all. Whatever you choose to do inside your bedroom, whether you're gay, whether you're homosexual, whether you want 2 women or 2 men, that's your choice. I feel as though it shouldn't have to be advocated. at all. Like, whatever you choose to do, that's you. But my thing is, the stuff is being pushed down our throats, and that's not fair. And not only that, when you start talking about exposing children to these ideologies and having them to make choices when they're not even at a mature age to make these choices, that's unfair. And that's my thing about it. Like, I have nothing against the LGBT community at all. I have three gay cousins that I love to death. But my thing is, don't force nothing down nobody's throats. Why even have that conversation with a kid that's in 3rd or 4th grade? That's crazy. That doesn't make sense to me. That further proves my point that they trying to shove this down our throat for another agenda.
Well,
and I'm
definitely
not being successful about it.
Jersey is doing it at the middle school age, and I'm going to say this because we actually are beyond the show show time, and I'm apologizing for those callers that I wasn't able to get into this onto the line. But I want to say this. I feel like there's no harm in teaching these kids about historical figures, regardless of what their sexual orientation is. The problem, the reason why they're advocating to have this be taught in schools, and now the laws has it taught in schools, because you have people that have affected change and were denied the notoriety because of who they were and what they were,
really?
and because people knew exactly who they were and what their preference was. That's why they were pushed to the back and not acknowledged and not acknowledged by different people because of exactly who they were. Like if I'm an openly gay person and I'm a part of a very pivotal point in history, but I'm not showing recognition like other people that were making this because of their orientation, they were straight or heterosexual and they were honored. That definitely is an issue.
Well, you know what? I disagree with that, because you have a lot of people that were gay or homosexual or part of the LGBT community that never been ostracized because of who they were. Let's take, for example, Luther Vandross. You know, he's one of the best singers in the world, but, you know, he was a homosexual. He never got ridiculed or anything like that. So my thing is, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we have to look at it a little bit deeper than what most people look at it. We have to look at we really have to look at it very deep, to the point where as long as a lot of our people of color or and I'm not knocking anybody, please, I'm not being disrespectful, I'm just really being honest, and please feel free to correct me. I feel as though it should not be shoved down our throats. I don't think anybody has been shamed on for who they were, because we have a lot of actors and actresses and singers in the house.
Currently, though.
Yeah,
but we're talking about past people. You're talking about current people.
Yeah.
We're talking about past people.
Also, hold on, one quick thing though too. The other thing we got to think about in that regard, it depends on what arena they're in. You know, you're talking about Luther Vandross, right? And I remember when it came out that he was, you know, that he was possibly gay, and then it was like more confirmed, right? But we're talking about a singer. You know, same thing with Elton John. Same thing with we can name quite a few singers, even in the 60s and in the 50s. I mean, you look a little richer, you know. So, you know, it was something that could be accepted and overlooked. But then, like what Sonny's referring to is situations like the civil rights activists. I keep missing the last name.
Bayard Rustin.
Yeah. Rustin, sorry, Bayard Rustin. So Bayard Rustin, you know, you're talking about a person who, and it wasn't only just him. You know, there was other homosexual activists. There was women activists. I mean, you got to think about all the women who did more for civil rights than any man in the spotlight. I mean, there's a ton of women who did way more than Martin Luther King ever did in his life.
Absolutely.
Ever. Like literally ever. But they were not promoted or pushed to the front or even spoke about from a larger historical perspective because of the fact that they were women, because of the fact that they were homosexual.
Yeah, we also have to understand the people that report the news. So at the end of the day, a lot of people, like you said, I agree with you, a lot of women was on the forefront and did a lot of things. And, I agree with that. But at the end of the day, we also have to understand who's reporting this information. So the facts or the facts. You understand what I'm saying?
But it's just like that.
My whole thing is this, when you guys, no, I'm sorry, not you guys. When people have to understand, and I'm trying to say this very delicately, everybody is promoting this LGBT thing, and they have all these rights and things. I just hope people are aware of the doors, the Pandora box as they are open. For example, I have nothing against anybody. I'll make that very clear. But here's my thing. So if we start and everything, and everybody should be treated fairly. So what happens when the pedophiles step up
we already
and
had
say,
that conversation.
This is who I am, accept me for who I am, and then we forced to accept that. So what happens when somebody dressed as a woman goes into a girl's bathroom and rape a little girl? See, these are things that we have to look at. So to me,
we had that conversation now, and that's
whatever you do in your bedroom, it stays in your bedroom. Regardless whether you're straight, whether you're heterosexual, or whether you're homosexual. What you do stays in your bedroom. It's not for the public. Period. Bottom line, if we follow that protocol, you wouldn't have no issues.
But you can't tell people. But you can't tell people to not be themselves. You can't tell people not to be themselves. And we had that conversation about pedophilia.
You can be yourself, but I can be myself too. Don't force stuff down my throat. Don't force stuff in my face. Don't force things on me.
No, but that's what I'm saying to you. It doesn't, me being who I am does not affect you at all. If I'm flamboyantly gay, I'm not going to hide. Nobody should have to hide who they are, period.
Okay, but also you got to look at it this way. A lot of the gay guys out here now, they play both sides of the fence. One minute they want to be gay, one minute they want to deal with women and not being honest and truthful about it, and that's another problem. You understand what I'm saying?
That's being bisexual, and that's them being exactly who they are, and that's it. If them being who they are does not affect you directly, then it's none of your business. What they do.
Okay,
how they choose to live their life has nothing to do with what you're doing.
If I meet a guy and he gives me the impression that he's into me and I'm strictly heterosexual, and you give me the impression that you're into me and you're bisexual, that's a problem. It's a serious problem.
That affects you. But that's what I'm saying. That directly affects you. So, yes, it matters to you. You should know that. That directly affects you. So, yes.
It affects my people. And again, like I said, whatever you choose to do, everybody has the right to choose to do what they want to do. I don't love you no less. I don't hate you no less. It is what it is. But my thing is, when it comes to my children, when it comes to the youth, kids are not even able to form rational decisions. They're at a point where they're at a crossroads. So to start confusing them at the age when they're in third grade and fourth grade is crazy. It's really crazy. Because most people that are homosexual, most people that are gay, when you're in third or fourth grade, you probably feel confused as well. So why even put that on to a child that may not be exposed to that? So imagine a kid that's not exposed to that, but you present that option to him. And now you guys, it's being thrown in the youth face so
much.
Can I ask a question? They don't know if they're going to be down with it. Yes, you can.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
So with what you just said, because I want to make sure I'm understanding your point of view. So if you have two people that are same sex in a household and they adopt a kid, do you feel like they're exposing their kid to possibly be gay?
Honestly, yes. And I say this only because, let me tell you why I say this. Whether you have two men raising a kid or two women doing it. Kids going to imitate what they see their parents do, whether you straight or whether you gay. And that's just the reality of it. So my thing is let kids grow up and form their own opinion and find their own identity. Don't shove it down their face. And I can speak firsthand where I've had a relative. I have three gay cousins, and they're all brothers. So I always say, well, the oldest one, maybe he didn't bring the gay stuff around him, and I love him to death. I love him to death, and there's no disrespect to the LGBT community at all. Please understand that. So I'm like, okay, well, if he brought that around his two younger brothers, and that's all they see, and then all the boys that was raised in the house end up being gay, I do have to question that. My thing is, at the end of the day, do what you do inside the bedroom. Period.
To make everybody else feel comfortable. I can't hear the phone is cutting out. I don't know what's being said, but we're like completely after show. Willie, are you still there?
But yeah, I'm still here. Yeah. But Tasha, thank you so much for calling in. I felt like we definitely need to have this conversation a little bit more, and we definitely, to conversation for our whole shows as well. Especially with identifying the issue of the influence that this can have on kids. Definitely listen to some of our older shows as well. Thank you for calling, and hopefully we'll have you as a guest again soon.
All right.
This is your boy Willie Styles. Catch us in 7 days.